Dr. Eugene. So Associate Professor Dr. Norwati binti Haji Roslim received her Bachelor of Education Honours in ESOL from the University of Southampton, UK, and both Masters of Science in TESOL and PhD in TESOL from Universiti Putra Malaysia. Her corpus work began in the year 2000 for her master's and further continued for her PhD in 2009, supervised by distinguished Professor Dr. Arshad Abdul Samad and Professor Dr. Jaya Karan Bukandan from UPM. Her research interests include English language teaching and learning, corpus linguistics, and materials development. As for Dr. Eugene, he has been a lecturer at Universiti Tenaga Nasional Kajang, Selangor since 2009. He has also held the position of coordinator of the intensive English program at UniTM since 2010. His research interests include customized word list creation and corpus-based textbook evaluation, as well as vocabulary pedagogy. So without further ado, let's welcome both of these speakers. Okay, Professor Pak Dia Dr. Norwati and also Dr. Eugene.
Okay,
nice to meet you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all. Thank you, Dr. Shazila, for the presentation. Okay, for both of us.
Thank you, Dr. Shazila.
Most welcome.
Okay, so I will begin with the presentation, and I will show the slides first. May I, Doctor? Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, we can, Dr. Norwati.
All right, okay then. So I will proceed with the first one. Okay, Malaysian Corpus Research Network. Okay, Pedagogic Corpus for Corpus Research is the title of our presentation for today, MCRN January webinar, dated 28 January through 2022 at 3 p.m. Okay, I'm Associate Professor Dr. Norwati Haji Roslim, attached to Akademi Pengajian Bahasa, UiTM Negeri Sembilan, Kampus Rembau, Malaysia. And with me, I have Dr. Eugene from the Department of Social Science and Humanities, Universiti Tenaga Nasional, Malaysia. Okay, the contents of our presentation are as follows. 1, what is the pedagogic corpus? 2, a brief guide utilizing a pedagogic corpus for corpus research. 3, literature review. 4, previous studies on textbook corpus. 5, problem statement. 6, methodology. And 7, wordsmith tools at work. Okay, what is a pedagogic corpus? A pedagogic corpus is a corpus consisting of all the language a learner has been exposed to. So if a researcher does decide to collect a pedagogic corpus, it can consist of all the course books, for example, textbooks, readers, plus any tapes a learner has used. The term pedagogic corpus is used by Willis in 1993, and a textbook corpus is a type of pedagogic corpus. In our field, in the field of corpus linguistics, a corpus needs to be compiled before any corpus-based analysis is conducted. So generally, is to collect all instances of a word or phrase that learners have come across is for the purpose of raising awareness. And we are going into depth into it. Hanston 2002 described when an item is met in one text, examples from previous and future texts can be used as additional evidence for the learner to draw conclusions. To give an example of this, Hanston 2002 exemplified some concordance lines extracted from the first 50 pages of a Malaysian Form 1 English textbook. And the first set of lines is for the word at. So she took this word at, and these lines are taken from all parts of the textbook. So the learners have met at in the following context. Firstly, at used to indicate place, at is used to indicate time, at is after look, and at is after good. Hence, if a teacher wants to draw attention to the use of at in a new text, these concordance lines could be used as supplementary information. So this is an example from Hanston. So next, I'm going to give you a brief guide on how you can use a pedagogic corpus for corpus research. So I begin with the literature review. Studies on ESL textbooks in Malaysia have started to gain interest. This is also based on my experience as well as Dr. Ng Eugene's experience in dealing with textbooks, okay, for our ESL environment. And the shifts of studies, we have discovered that we have moved from vocabulary to investigating grammar items. So such studies have significant contributions to the teaching and learning of English in the Malaysian context. Studies on textbooks are essential because textbooks have been used as core resources in classrooms and have become the major source of contact and input in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, textbooks serve as the basis for much of the language input learners receive and language practice that takes place in the classroom. From Noreen and Asha, 2005. However, textbooks have been known to have problems, as indicated by Mukundan, Thornbury, and Maddings, Palvanus, Flack, and Sheldon. Previous studies on textbook corpus based on my research as well as my experience with a group of students doing textbook corpus in UPM. So we have Mukundan and Anelka, 2009, analyzed the repetition of the 2000 high frequency words. Mukundan and Roslim, 2009, started looking at grammatical items in studies on prepositions. Mukundan and Kojate Lale, 2011, they did a study on modal verbs, another grammatical item. We also have Mukundan and Leong, 2012, studies on articles. And then Philip Mukundan and Nimichisalam, 2012, studies on conjunctions. So also with this textbook corpus, Dr. Ng Eugene have also come out with other studies with regard to word lists as well. Okay, and recently, me with the other authors, we have come out with papers in 2020 using textbook corpus as well. And we looked at corpus-informed materials development. And in 2021, we look at corpus-informed prepositions, in which in this paper, we also relate to common European framework for our study. Problem statement. If you're using a pedagogic corpus for corpus research, what exactly is the problem? Okay. So much has been said about textbooks. So I have listed here, we have several here, what people have said about textbooks. For example, is a misfit in the learning teaching environment. Basing teacher of its language around books is a show way of paralyzing its capacity to convey messages, according to Thornbury and Maddings. It's dead on page, and it takes all the teacher's skills to reanimate them for the learner. Stubbornness. Even the most exciting looking course books fail to capture learners' interest. Black. And it is a necessary evil, said Sheldon. So despite criticisms, textbooks have gained wide acceptance in the school environment. So that's the problem. So from the perspective of corpus-based research, it has been reported that the textbooks are prepared through a process of material development, which involves intuition and assumptions. So based on the premise that textbooks have problems, a pedagogic corpus does offer evidence that can benefit English language teaching and learning extensively to discover the language a learner has been exposed to, and it provides empirical evidence. Okay. Also, when we use a pedagogic corpus for corpus research, we also look at the methodology. Okay. So with corpus, we need to know the corpus size. So according to Bible et al. 1998, it describes as a principal collection. So one principle to consider is the size of the corpus. So here I would like to highlight what Tribble and Jones have said about the size of the corpus. A very large corpus will be richer in information, with more interesting output and more likely to represent accurately features of a language. And with Uzde and Dihan 1994, there is no such thing as the optimum size, and that the suitability of the sample depends on the specific study undertaken. So this is about the corpus size. And in the methodology also, we look at the population and sampling. So if you're using a textbook corpus, it becomes population for a corpus of Malaysian secondary school English language textbooks from 1 to form 5. This is based on my study and also other publications that have used this corpus of Malaysian secondary school English language textbooks from form 1 to form 5. And this corpus comprises of 311, 214 running words, and it has been used in many significant corpus-based studies and publications, such as with Mukundan and Anelka 2009, Mukundan and Roslim 2009, Mukundan and Krashahir 2011, Krashahir and Kafipur 2012, Phillips et alia 2012, Emilia et alia 2012, Roslim et alia 2014, 2020, and 2021. Then in the methodology, we also need to look at the instrumentation. So here with Pedagogic Corpus, we used Wordsmith Tools 4.0 last time, Scott 2004. Okay, later Dr. Ng Eugene will show you the Wordsmith Tools in detail, okay? So wordsmith tools are integrated programs that look at how words behave in a text. Oxford University Press uses the tools for the lexicographic work in preparing dictionaries. So these tools are also useful for language teachers, students, and researchers in investigating language patterns. So why wordsmith tools? The reliability and capability of wordsmith tools were reviewed by Bible and Rappen 2001. So those who are involved in corpus studies, Bible and Rappen must be familiar proponents for them. Okay, they compared wordsmith to Monochrome Pro and found that wordsmith was more capable in corpus-based research. Also, the capability of this software has also been verified by Mukundan 2004 in the exploration for suitable software to analyze prescribed textbooks, compared with other 7 concordance software programs, which include Concordance 3.0, Hamlet for Windows, TextQuex, Hyper Research, Easy Text, Micro Concord, and Monocong. And the capability is more on wordsmith tools. So with Wordsmith tools, we have 3 analysis tools available in the software that are word list, concord, and keyword. Okay, also in the section for methodology is to do with data collection procedures. So when you want to actually come up with your own pedagogic corpus, let's say you want to look at textbooks used by students. So during our time, this is how it has been done. Each page of the textbooks was photocopied and scanned and converted into a text image file format. And this was then saved and put through the OCR software, which converted all the IF files into text files. The text files were then checked for errors before saving and renaming them according to the respective units of the textbook. And then we use these text files to analyze using Wordsmith tools. And during this time, we use 4.0 Wordsmith tools 4.0 software program created by Scott 2004. Next will be the data analysis procedures. So the text files were analyzed using Wordsmith Tools 4.0, and the data were then tagged and coded. Employing an independent rater or coder is to ensure that forgery is avoided during the analysis. So once you have the data, then you can do the tagging and coding, and you can also employ an independent rater or coder to ensure that forgery is avoided during the analysis. However, you also need to train the rater and coder with regard to the tagging and coding as well. For example, if you want to tag a word in the Wordsmith tool as preposition, then you show the rater or coder on how to actually tag the word, for example, at. So you can tag it as PREP as a short form for preposition. Okay, if you want to tag it as preposition of place, then you can use it as PREPPL, preposition of place. So you create your own tagging and coding, and then you also work with your independent rater and coder to ensure that forgery is avoided during the analysis. Okay, and this procedure has also been used in other corpus-based studies by Mukundan 2012, Phillips 2012, Koshaya and Kafafo 2012, and then 2011, 2009, and then also until 2008. Okay. Right. Next, so those are the basic guide that if you are interested in using pedagogic corpus for your corpus research. Okay. During my time, when I did my master's with Professor Dr. Ashad, we did learner corpus, that of a mass learner corpus on Malaysian students English. Okay. And then with my PhD, I work with Professor Dr. Mukundan with regard to textbook corpus. So the experience in terms of the results and discussion in using pedagogic corpus, I could actually compare in terms of learner corpus as well as textbook corpus that I've been using throughout my corpus work. Okay. Right. Also with pedagogic corpus, instead of using the textbooks only as your corpus, you can also use reference corpus like British National Corpus, and then you can also look up for corpus-based dictionaries to check on description of the items that you are looking for. For example, if you want to check the use of preposition at, how does a dictionary actually present the definition of at? So with corpus work, you need to have some kind of base or platform for you to fall back with regard to your findings and discussions. Okay, so next would be wordsmith tools at work. The three analysis tools, word list. This function provides the word, its frequency as a percentage of the running words in the text. The word list made from the number of texts each word appeared in, that and that number as percentage of the whole corpus of text. So that is the word list. And then another analysis tool is the Concord. Concord seeks specified search words in all the text files chosen. Then it presents a concordance display and gives access to information about collocates of the search word, dispersion plots showing where the search word came in each file, patterns, cluster analysis showing repeated clusters of words or phrases. And the third one is keyword. Keyword tool identifies keywords in the given text. Okay, so basically this is a brief guideline on how you can actually start off corpus research using a pedagogic corpus. So if you have textbooks or any course books materials that you are using, then you may want to try to look at the language patterns of the textbooks by selecting what exactly that you want to look for. For example, if you want to look for the frequency of certain words, okay, in that particular textbooks or in that particular course books, so you can use that. And then, or if you want to look up for grammatical items, how certain grammatical items have been used in the course books or in the textbook in which the students or learners have been exposed to. So these are the ways that you can actually come up with your corpus research. Okay, right. So that's all from me. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and Dr. Shazila. So I will pass the floor to Dr. Ng Eugene to present the next part. Thank you.
Dr. Shazila, I think your mic is muted, Dr. Shazila.
Okay, sorry. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, I forgot about it. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Norwati. Okay, so now I'm going to give it to Dr. Eugene. Okay, but before that, I would like to remind, okay, if any of you would like to ask any questions, perhaps you can just write your questions in the chat box first. Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay, so there you go, Dr. Eugene.
Okay. Okay, Shazila, before I start, yeah, can I ask, a simple question where, I would like to get a quick response from all the audience. Like, wordsmith tool, is it something that is common to everyone, or is it something that is, is the first time that everyone actually has heard of this tool?
Well, as for me, okay, I use Wordsmith tool for my PhD study.
Right.
I first heard it, okay, when I did it back then. Okay, I did my PhD study. I started it in 2010. Okay, I started my PhD study in 2010, and I used Wordsmith's version 6.
Oh, version 6.
Yeah, at that time, yeah.
Right. I have to apologize. The one that I have is only version 5. I hope it's okay.
No problem.
Because okay, now I will just roughly share, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I'll just share the very basic ones. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, can you see my screen? Is my screen being shared?
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So I will go back to basic just in case for those who actually use it for the first time. Of course, you can actually come to this website. You can download. Now it's version 8 already. Of course, version 8 you have to pay. The previous one, all you can actually download. Version 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2 and 1 you can actually download. It's for free. But it's just that the one that I have is actually it's bought by. It was just give me a moment. I bought it, I think, back in 2009, I think. Okay, so I'll show you the so-called original copy that I have. Okay, so is it okay? Is it you can see the tool? Yes or no?
Yes, it's coming up, doctor.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, because I think
Yes.
okay, for Google Meet, what I can actually say that because when the moment I share my screen, I cannot see the audience. So pardon me if I don't really communicate, if I don't really answer your question, if I don't really see you per se. Okay, now I just go with the basic ones. First, for wordsmith, there are 3 functions as mentioned by Associate Professor Dr. Norwati Roslim. We have word list, keywords, and concord. I mean, for me, when I was doing my study, all the study that I do, the first step is definitely word list. And the second step that actually we want to go and find the collocation, it will be concord. And keywords are actually to build the, I would say, I will use it to build my own word list, which actually I have, some work, I have done some work on this. Okay, now, let me just show you how easy it can be after you have purchased, or maybe you can actually use other concordance software online like Encode, Monoconc, or maybe I would say the most sophisticated yet so-called quote unquote the ugliest would be it is from a website called Complete Lexical Tutor, where actually you can get all the tools there, but it's just that it's not as user friendly as this. Okay, now what I have here is what Dr. Norwati has used before. Is our Form 1 to Form 5 so-called textbooks and corpus, which actually we have digitized. If you can see, all the chapters from chapter 1 to chapter 18 of Form 1. Form 1 is actually secondary 1 in Malaysia. Secondary 2, secondary 3, secondary 4, and secondary 5. Of course, I do not want to clutter the whole, what you call the analysis, but I will just show some of it, okay? So first thing what I would do is that I would just click on this word list, okay? So I hope it's appearing. Okay, so then I'll just go to File, okay? I'll just go to New. Okay, then first I will choose word text now. Okay, as you can see just now, okay, I put it here. Okay, so I will find my file, and you can see all the Form 1 until Form 5. For example, I want to do only Form 1, secondary 1. So I'll just put everything here. Okay. I hope it's okay, right? Step by step, it's quite easy, right, everyone? Can follow, right? It's quite easy, am I right, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So stop me if I'm too fast, or you stop me if it's too easy. You want me to speed up? I can speed up, no problem. Okay.
This is just fine, Dr. Ng.
Okay, good. So when you actually what do you call that, have uploaded all the files, all the 18 files, this is for the Form 1, the secondary 1, Malaysia. So I just click make a word list now. So within seconds, you can see that the frequency, everything is all tabulated here. Everything is all shown here. This is based on frequency. You can change to alphabetical order. Of course, this represents the number, or I would say the symbols that we cannot, the software cannot read. So it will be put as the, what do you call that? As a symbol here. Okay, so the frequency is the highest here. But if you look at the frequency, normally is the word the. Even if you look at word lists created by, a few researchers, for example, the GSL, the General Service List, the New General Service List, the is definitely the most frequently used English word, no matter where you go or what you do. Okay, then if you can even look at the statistics, okay, you can actually pull it here. What you can see, the chapters are all here. You can actually look at individual chapters. Okay, what are the running words? If you look at here, this is the total. There are 43,836 running words. And then you have the distinct words, or we call it types, 4,730. So of course, later on, if you're into textbook evaluation, you can even look at the TTR, or we call it the types token ratio. Or from Wordsmith, you can get a standardized type token ratio. So of course, I would not want to go into the technicality of this, because not everyone is into textbook evaluation. Okay, so every of the statistics here, it means something. So it depends on what you are studying. For example, if you're really looking into the textbook evaluation, okay, I'm just saying example, yeah. So when you look at TTR, you can actually do the manual calculation. You can actually use this, divide by this, okay, the type, because it's type token ratio. Type is 4,730, you divide by this, okay, 43,836, you times 100%, because it's a ratio. So when you get the ratio, it actually shows the how difficult the textbook is. Okay, because I think Professor Jaya Karan Mukundan, I would say the expert that Dr. Norwati mentioned just now, he was actually into evaluating textbook once upon a time, because in Malaysia, our textbook was believed to be created in an ad hoc manner. The words are actually tabulated or represented or misrepresented in many ways. So that was what we did last time, to actually evaluate whether the words were properly recycled or represented. This is the first step of the statistics. Okay, there are so many. It depends on what you want to look at. You can actually look at individual chapters, okay, or you can even compare the chapters, how the words and so on, how the words are actually, I would say, introduced in every chapter. Okay, for example, another example will be this, yeah. If you look at the types, yeah, total types for the whole secondary one is 4,730, but you can see whether they are introduced in a very standardized manner. So from here you can see, oh, it is quite standardized here, because all the words introduced here are actually about the same, in a range of 600 to 800. So it's actually with, we can actually so-called conclude that this from one book is actually, or it was written in a very planned manner in a way. But of course, this is just the beginning. Then later on, you can look into the text, you can look into how it is represented later on. Okay, so for this, it's okay, right, everyone? Is it okay? Or too many numbers?
Yes, doctor.
Oh, no problem, yeah?
No problem.
Okay. So the next part that I will want to, okay, so normally what I will do is I will save. Okay, so for example, yeah, I will just save here as this from one, so that you can see here I save on my desktop, or maybe I can just save it in this folder again. Okay, MCRN. Okay, I will save. Okay, so I have this so-called word list already. So when I want to actually look at it again, I can just open from here. Okay, I can call and I can actually look back at all the files again. Okay, but the thing is, okay, let me just explain. So if sometimes if we do not want the, okay, I'll just close this. Okay, I'll close this, or maybe I just open this. Okay, so if let's say we do not want it to be in the what I call wordsmith format, we can always save as the plain text, or we can even save it on Excel spreadsheet, which actually you can go into it. You know, you can go into detail. That means in the Excel form, you can actually go bits into detail of every single word that you want to see, you want to look at. Okay, for example, now I have saved. Okay, it's already here. Okay, so I'm sure you guys are so much better than me in terms of your computer, but I'm just showing you how it was done. So you can see today, 28th of January, everything is here. So you can actually call for any words that you want, okay, later on. Okay, so this is clear, yeah? Word list, this is the most basic one. Okay, then the next part that I want to introduce to all of you is this. Okay, so first thing, let's say, I think just now Dr. Norwati mentioned the word at. Okay, do I have the word at? I think it's here, right? Yes or no, everyone? You can see now on number 26 is at, right? The frequency is 194. I think maybe at that time, what Dr. Nawati did was she actually analyzed the concordance of it. That means how this word, this preposition at was actually used differently or being coded or tagged. So what we can actually do is here, we just right click, okay, or maybe we just compute. Okay, we just compute from the word list just now. Okay, you can see concordance, right, everyone? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, I'll just press concordance. Okay, you can see all the word. If I sort now, okay, no problem. No, I think no need. Okay, you can see how all the words are represented here. You can see, okay, from here, what you can, if you are the researcher of preposition, just like Dr. Norwati, you can actually look at all the words, you know, content analysis in a way. When we actually double click, it will bring us back to the original text, because all these are actually, I would say, the words that actually has been combined into a corpus. So sometimes if I want to actually look at something that is easier to see, I'll look at the collocation. Okay, the word at here, how the word is actually paired, the collocation of the word, or even I can look at the plot of the words, how it appear, the word at in that 18 chapters of Form 1. The one in green color is how the words is tabulated across chapter 1, or how many times it was, you know. Of course, this plot doesn't tell much, because with bare eyes we cannot calculate. Because the frequency is more on the just what we saw just now, 196, right? So what you can do next is you look at the pattern. Okay, this pattern is where is like a summary for me. For example, the word at is at the center. The word L1 is left number 1, left number 2, left number 3, left number 4, left number 5, right number 1. Okay, words that actually appear after the word at, it can be summarized as here. Okay, the words that appear before the words at, it can be summarized here. Okay, so this is the function of concordance. Okay, so concordance, you can actually look at any word. You can even look at like word lists, certain words that are more important that you want to look at. You can look at semantics. You can look at because I don't know the extent of your research, but just that for now we are just quoting preposition. Okay, the preposition at. Okay, so after this, this is the concordance. Of course, concordance, you can always do you can always start with, to me, this is the easier part, that I start with word list, I will link to concordance. Okay, then the third one you can see is, I think, what was the third one again? What was the function again, if you can remember? Anyone? There are three functions, right?
Keyword.
Yes, keyword. Okay, I'm sure that some of you might actually be using this function of keyword, because keyword is actually we call it the unusually frequent words that appear in your text. Okay, so what I would do, or keywords, normally, if you want to engage the function of keywords, you will need a reference corpus, just like what Dr. Norwati mentioned just now. And of course, for Malaysians, we were colonized by British last time. So of course, in Malaysia, we do not have our own reference corpus big enough. Okay, what I could remember, it was created back in 2012, but it wasn't complete. It's a corpus called Chomel and so on, COMEL, cute in English. But of course, I couldn't find that reference corpus until now. But of course, all my researches, all my study, I will use the British National Corpus, which actually it is easily downloadable online. It's all here. You can see it's here. Okay, and at that time, I could remember that this British National Corpus, it has in the version of Wordsmith 5.0. So it actually made my life easier. Okay, so what I would do when I actually go into this, I'll press the keyword, okay, to compute this keyword. Okay, I'll enlarge. So new. Okay, remember keywords, if you want to build a keywords, you need a reference corpus minimum 5 times bigger than than your target corpus, meaning your reference corpus has to be bigger minimum 5 times. This is some of the standard given by Tognini and Bonelli, by Bieber and Sardina. So many other researchers actually have mentioned that you need a minimum 5 times what you call that corpus size as compared to your target corpus. So you can see automatically the form 1 word list, or the word list form of the key what you call that Microsoft Wordsmith word file is already there, because it's .lst means word list .lst, because you have to use the LST format of the what you call that this file to be compared with the reference corpus. So the reference corpus, I will actually use the British National Corpus. I'll just click. Okay, so of course I had to find. Okay, I go to desktop. Where did I put? Okay, here. Okay, so this is the one. So I'll just open. Okay, make word list now. It's also a matter of a few seconds, or maybe less than a minute. If your corpus is very big, it will take longer. Okay, I mean the most also, I think maybe 5-10 minutes. Okay, so just bear with us for a while. I hope it works. Okay, so let's see. Does it work? Okay. Okay, while waiting for it to load, okay, I cannot. Okay, so this is the keyword that actually we can find again. Okay, remember keyword is actually the analysis. They use the log or maybe the probability that is already set in Wordsmith. Okay, whether it's 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 and above, it's the same. The algorithm is always the same. So what actually happened here is that, okay, so you can see the frequency. Maybe some of you is new, maybe it's new to some of you, but I'm very sure most of you already know this. So now the words that are positive in terms of the keenness are the words that are unusually high as compared to the reference corpus, because the British National Corpus is 100 million word corpus, and it is still an ongoing process that is still being added, in terms of the tokens, in terms of the words. So what you can see here, the positive keenness words are actually, Sufyan is a name of a person, a Malaysian Malay man. So you can see the words, all these are the so-called unusually frequent words that appear in the textbook of Malaysia Secondary 1. So we only look at the positive keyness words. We can actually, scroll down, or we can just save again as this format, for example. Okay, now you have to save in the original format first before you can actually save in the Excel spreadsheet. This is much easier. Okay, if you ask me. Okay, compute. Okay, view it now. Yes. Okay, so you cannot open two at the same time. Okay, I hope I have saved. Have I? Oh yes. Okay, you can see this is the unusually frequent words, So what I will do is that I will, the positive keyness words, I will only look at the positive keyness words, and perhaps from here, we can create, a keyword. We can look at the collocation, or even we can actually create a word list. Okay, just like what perhaps Paul Nation, or maybe Avery Coxhead, or maybe Charlie Brown, all those word list specialists, they have created a lot of word lists, from the general service list, from the academic word list, from the British from the business service list. There's so many word lists around that students can actually benefit in their own field. Okay, so as you scroll down, okay, you remember you only want the positive keyness words. You can always use your Excel. You can always delete. You can always change the data. Okay, you can always pick up the data, and you know what I mean after this. You can always sort. Okay, it is really up to you. Okay, so the why actually we like word list is because we have all three in one. Somehow some other software, yes, they are reliable. It's just that maybe they are not as user friendly as this, because maybe it will crash when your corpus is too big. Okay, for Wordsmith 2, as long as you purchase the original, I would say the license, it hardly will crash. Of course, if your corpus is too big, you will need to wait a long time. Okay, so I think with that, I have introduced to you how easy you can use Wordsmith tool. Other tool, perhaps maybe some other sessions if you want to learn those that I know, or maybe you can introduce to me next time. Some of the concordance software, or maybe tools that you can share with me. Maybe it's much easier than this. I'm all ears. I will want to learn from you as well. Okay, so I think with that, Doctor, I'll pass back the floor to you if there's any question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ng. Okay, well, that's amazing talk on corpus, on Wordsmith tools. Okay, so as I said, I also used Wordsmith tools when I was doing my PhD, and I had to learn it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't find it quite user-friendly at first. Okay, I think the basic functions, okay, like you just mentioned, okay, whatever you presented just now really brought me back, okay, to my PhD days when I actually used, okay, what you just showed to us. Okay, but nowadays we have also other tools such as LangBox and Sketch Engine. So what do you think, Doctor? Okay, these two tools, okay, which are commonly used, I think, by corpus researchers nowadays.
Sorry.
LangBox and Sketch Engine.
Sketch Engine. Sketch Engine, I'm not too sure, so I couldn't give any comments, because besides this Wordsmith, I actually use Complete Lexical Tutor to help me, because everything is all there. I prefer that, because that can actually help us to look at the vocabulary threshold needed to study a book. How big a vocabulary size a student need to understand a certain textbook. So to me, maybe I'm a lazy person. I always look for something easier.
Okay. What about LangBox, Doctor?
These two maybe it's too new for me. I'm not too. Of course, later on I'll go and find out. Maybe it's easier. The doctor can always teach me.
Well, I'm not familiar of these two as
right.
well, because I use Wordsmith, okay, but it's just that nowadays I could see corpus studies, they use a lot of these tools. But definitely, I think Wordsmith tools, okay, is very comprehensive.
No, because I think what actually Michael Scott created back in 2006, the first version of Wordsmith, until now, it has been, renewed until version 8. And because it is published by the Oxford University Press, so to me that kind of reliability carries a bigger weight. as compared to those that we can find online. Because I think last time I was scolded literally by my professor. I think Dr. Norwati knows. He asked how valid or how reliable is your tool at that time. Prof. Jaya, he is not the okay, I wouldn't want to mention, but so he actually questioned me in terms of the reliability, because I introduced to him at that time a lot of different kind of software.
Right.
So he just asked me who was a publisher, who is the one that actually built the software. So of course, some software we do not know where it comes from.
Right.
So he advised me, in order for me to in order for me to pass my Viva, use something that's reliable.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we were in the same boat actually. Okay, I
Yeah.
use Wisdom tools just because of that. Okay, it's more
Okay.
reliable, and most PhD studies have been using Wisdom tools. Okay, nowadays the tools used as I mentioned just now, Langbox, Sketch Engine, and maybe Encom are used by researchers who are doing small studies. Okay, not the one like PhD studies. I think. Okay, there's one question here from Mr. Zhang Jingzu from UPM. Okay, he asked, how about Encom?
Encom I've used before. Encom is actually much simpler in terms of the to find the concordance. If you are not building a word list, correct. If you're not building a word list, if you do not need the keywords function, Encom is actually quite user friendly. You can get and call the words quite fast actually. But Encom, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it cannot actually cater to a very big corpus. I don't know about now, because the last time I used a customized corpus. It's quite a small corpus actually.
Right.
And also, Yang, I think UPM also, she actually, I think, tagged the Complete Lexical Tutor, the website.
Yes.
Lex Tutor, yeah. And of course, to me, I always tell my students, it's not the most beautiful website that you can get, but to me, it's the most sophisticated one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Yang. Yeah.
Okay.
So perhaps those who would like to know more about Lex Tutor, there is a link shared by Ms. Yang, in the chat box. All right. Thank you, Dr. Ng. Okay, let's now move on to Dr. Norwati. I think there's a question also here regarding the main objectives of textbook evaluation corpus analysis, who is asked by Abdul Hakim Saidu. Okay, so perhaps Dr. Norwati, would you like to answer that question?
Okay, yes, Dr. Abdul Hakim. Yeah, I'll give some samples here. On my recent paper that is going to be published. It's going to be just like some kind of objectives as a guide for you if you want to do pedagogic corpus for corpus research. So earlier on, Dr. Ng also has mentioned about how textbooks have been prepared in an ad hoc manner, and then some writers use intuitions, assumptions, and so on. Okay, there's no empirical evidence with regard to the materials to be used to be put in the textbook as materials for in the process of materials development. Okay, so I will show you now, present now the paper that could give as a guide. And Dr. Ng just now also has mentioned about repetition and recycling, right? Okay, so this is, okay, I come up with this pedagogic corpus, empirical research on distribution, repetition, and recycling of prepositions. Dr. Ng Eugene also will be part of this as well, okay? So the one that I have samples of objectives here that I'm going to show you. I hope it's big enough. Oops, too big. Okay. Okay, these are the things that we have focused on in terms of Malaysian secondary English language textbooks, the textbook corpus. So research questions, also the objectives. One, what is the distribution of prepositions presented in Malaysian secondary English language textbooks? Number two, what is the distribution of repetition of the words that represent prepositions, which also represent other word classes in Malaysian secondary English language textbooks? And three, in what way the recycling of prepositions appear in Malaysian secondary English language textbook? So if you are studying, like, for example, a grammatical item, in this case, prepositions, so you can use um, the wordsmith tools, as well as the pedagogic corpus or textbook corpus, to find the evidence of the distribution in terms of frequency, and in terms of the patterns of that particular grammar items. Okay, so other than that, I would also these are the textbooks that we have used for our corpus. Um, and you can also go through corpus-based studies that have used um, textbook corpus, and like Phillips, Pochate, Emilia, okay, Menon, as well as Eugene. Okay, you can go to Google Scholar, and you can also find their studies on corpus-based studies which use textbook corpus, and they also have used several different objectives depending on what they actually want to study. But at the end of the day, actually, with textbook corpus or pedagogic corpus, it is actually to show that it is a retrospective evaluation, okay, of textbooks, and then what we expect in the future, that there will be a prospective study of the textbook before their content has been finalized for publication. Because as we know that some studies have already mentioned that how appropriately the, for example, prepositions has been selected and recycled in the textbooks, and respective teachers will be able to make adaptations to the learning teaching materials to render them more useful. Okay, so in other words, when we talk about materials development or the textbook corpus or textbooks or course books used in a classroom, what matters most is the kind of input that we are going to expose to students. If the materials or the textbook or course books are written in an ad hoc manner and based on intuition, it might also affect the performance of the students. Okay, so as I said before, these are just sample of objectives, and you can also go to other corpus-based studies to go through to the other objectives that have used pedagogic corpus or textbook corpus in their studies.
All right, thank you, Dr. Norwati. I think we have a few more other questions here. Okay, first by Dr. Jeng Dan, I think. Okay, who raised his hand. Okay. Right. Okay. So the question is now.
Oh, okay, Dr. Shazila.
Yes.
Thanks, Professor, and thanks, Yunjing, Dr. Yunjing. And my question is regard to analyze bundles, which engine is more useful, such as you told Sketch engine just now and Wordsmith. Which one is more useful to analyze bundles?
Okay, for bundles, because Sketch
Yeah.
Engine, I am not too familiar. That's why I dare not recommend any, Sketch Engine for that matter. But of course, for Wordsmith, you can still use the bundles as well. You can still analyze bundles.
Okay, fine, good. Thank you, Dr.
Because I
Yunjing.
think if there are a lot of researchers. I think Ken Highland is one of them. That actually does a lot of work on bundles, word bundles. I think even that, but because bundles to me is a bit complicated. So of course, but Wordsmith I have tried before. You can do that also.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll now take one last question. Okay, by Dr. Abdul Hakim. Yes, Dr. Abdul Hakim, your question, please.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Prof. Thank you for your reply to my first question. I really learned a lot. Thank you so much. My second question is about corpus construction. I want to work on, say, secondary school textbooks, that are in hard copies. Please, how can you explain how I can construct my corpus using those hard copies?
Dr.
I hope
Norwati?
you understand my question.
Yeah, we do. Dr. Norwati, would you want to answer this question?
Okay, I just repeat the question in case I understand, just to make it clearer, okay? So Dr. Abdul Hakim, what you want to do is to actually, you want to use a textbook, right? And you
Yeah,
want to
textbooks.
compile it as a corpus for your corpus-based analysis, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But the
So,
textbooks are in hard copies. They are in hard copies.
Hans corpus,
Yeah, hard.
hard corpus.
Yeah, hard copies, not soft.
Okay, I just mentioned about this textbook corpus that we did. Okay, first when we have the textbook that we use, so we just photocopy it and scan. Okay, and then once we have actually put in the wordsmith tools, then we will also get them print out. Okay, to check for the items that we want to analyze. Okay, so that is to do with KBSM textbook